Hola a todos, muy buenos días. El día de hoy vamos a estar en una entrevista con Darrin, que es el director ejecutivo de Tasa de Excelencia. Así que muchas gracias a los que están conectados el día de hoy, en esta mañana. Espero que ya hayan tomado su cafecito. Y vamos a estar platicando acerca de cómo la calidad impacta en Centroamérica y, bueno, también en toda la industria de café. Y pueden dejarnos sus preguntas, puede ser en temas enfocados de tasa de excelencia. Y la entrevista va a ser conducida en inglés, pero voy a estar traduciendo simultáneamente. Entonces, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos y vamos a entrar entonces en materia. Hello, Darrin. Nice to meet you. I was telling our viewers that we're going to do the interview focused on quality here in Central America, but also in all the producing countries. We're going to do this in English, but I'm going to be translating so they can be aware of what we're talking. Welcome and thank you so much for your time and for being here with us in this festival that we are really nice to have you here.
Oh, no, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to chatting and answering some of your questions and giving a little overview of Cup of Excellence. So, yeah, thank you.
Entonces, muchas gracias por haberme invitado. Estoy muy emocionado también de estar aquí y que comencemos las preguntas acerca de tasa de excelencia y lo que toque. Darrin, tell us about your story. What is it? How do you ended up in Cup of Excellence? Le estoy pidiendo a Darrin que nos comente cómo fue su historia y cómo fue que entró en tasa de excelencia.
Well, my connection to Cup of Excellence goes back to about 2003, 2004. I formerly was a coffee buyer for a couple different companies, but primarily worked for a Colorado-based coffee company, Allegro Coffee, and was a buyer for them, and was able to go to El Salvador and Honduras as a judge in those years.
Entonces, la experiencia de él se remonta en el 2003-2004 porque él estaba siendo comprador de café en una compañía en Colorado. Entonces, tuvo la oportunidad de visitar El Salvador para ser juez de tasa de excelencia. Ahí fue donde comenzó la conexión.
And at that time, I was so impressed and drawn into the community that's Cup of Excellence that I continued to serve on other juries in Colombia and of course, you know, other countries later, Brazil, and just continued to be a supporter and interested in the program. And then in about 4 years ago, the executive director job had opened up, and the organization is based in Portland, Oregon. I grew up in Eugene area and had dreamed about maybe one day having this executive director job because it had been open a previous time, and this second time I was really going to pursue it. So.
Entonces, Darrin se empezó a conectar con toda la comunidad, con todo lo que requiere el evento, y empezó a visitar más países también, como siendo parte del equipo de apoyo. Estuvo en Colombia, estuvo en Brasil, y siempre le interesó todo lo que hacía tasa de excelencia en cada uno de los países. Y nos cuenta que está la posición abierta de director ejecutivo, y esta fue cuando él pudo tener la oportunidad de postularse y así él envolverse de lleno en todo lo que es tasa de excelencia.
So really, for the past 4 years, I've just been trying to direct the program and innovate in the new countries, and it's been a lovely experience, and really just the culmination of being in the industry for a long time, I guess, has been one of the most important things in my career as a coffee buyer has been the connection to Cup of Excellence. So.
Una de las conexiones más importantes que él ha tenido como comprador de café ha sido a través de tasa de excelencia. Entonces, para él es un gran logro ser parte de ir abriendo también nuevos caminos en los países donde no había tasa de excelencia y ahora sí está posicionada. Darrin, what are the dynamics behind the Cup of Excellence? How does it work in every country? ¿Cuáles son las dinámicas de tasa de excelencia en cada uno de los países y cómo funciona?
Well, it's somewhat the same for the most part in every country in terms of the rules and the requirements, the vetting of the copies, the pre-selection, the competition phase, and really to a degree the auction phase are pretty much the same in every country. There are differences in certain countries like East Africa countries, Rwanda and Burundi and now Ethiopia, because there are more washing stations, and the way that the coffee industry is comprised there is slightly different than what you would find with maybe Central America or South America, where they're more estates or smallholder singular farmers versus maybe hundreds of small producers making up one lot that would be a COE coffee. So, but that said, it's pretty standardized in all the countries. So, if that answers your question.
Súper. Está bastante estandarizado en cuestiones de reglas y de cómo se aplican los procedimientos en cada uno de los países. Quizás puede variar algo entre los países del África del Este, como por ejemplo Etiopía o Burundi, donde los productores son más asociaciones o agrupaciones, en contraste con Centroamérica, donde son productores más individuales, donde tienen lotes, donde ellos van a ponerlo a orden de tasa de excelencia y hay muchísima más competitividad. Darrin, so you said it's standardized, but maybe here, what about Central America? You know, what profiles are we most likely to find here in Central America in contrast with other countries of the region? ¿Cuáles son los perfiles que, hablando de Centroamérica, cuáles son los perfiles que estamos más interesados en encontrar aquí en Centroamérica?
Yeah, well, I think when we look at Central America right now, the level of innovation around processing, it's happening. Even in Ethiopia, we're seeing. There were 2 anaerobic coffees that showed up in Ethiopia, but like for instance, like when you look at El Salvador or Costa Rica, you'll see such a proliferation of either newer varieties or experimenting with varieties, and then of course all of this post-harvest fermentation that's seemingly happening, whether it's carbonic maceration or anaerobic fermentation or just new techniques there. And as far as that playing out in flavor, obviously a lot of the coffees that are coming out of Central America are very balanced and very integrated flavors. Maybe certainly different than what you might find in Rwanda or Burundi, where it's fairly a lot of Bourbon and Kent varieties, things like that. So I think when we look at Central America, we see a much broader spectrum of flavors, citrus and dark chocolates and roasted nut flavors like almonds and like you just have that whole ability to see a wide array of flavors that are really unique and unique to Central America for sure, yeah.
Cuando hablamos de Centroamérica, estamos hablando de un espectro más grande en perfiles y esto se debe también a que los productores han aplicado técnicas para poder desarrollar procedimientos y también a través de los diferentes procesos donde están implementando, por ejemplo, la fermentación carbónica o fermentación anaeróbica, y esto nos va a dar unos perfiles más amplios que son bien balanceados. Si vemos, por ejemplo, los perfiles de Costa Rica y los perfiles de El Salvador, están teniendo mayor interacción con la tecnología y hay unos perfiles que podemos saber de que son bien balanceados entre las notas de chocolate, todo lo que es almendras y nueces. Todo esto podemos decir de que son perfiles bastante apegados a Centroamérica. Darrin, I know that this processing thing is like new. We just have it like 2-3 years ago, where you, as a Cup of Excellence, started to accept other processes. How was the transition between the wash process and all these processes, honey, naturals, etc.? Esto de los procesos naturales o semilavados es algo nuevo en Tasa de Excelencia, lo estamos viendo de 2-3 años anterior. ¿Cómo ha sido la transición de todos estos cafés que antes fueron lavados y los nuevos procesos que se han venido integrando a Tasa de Excelencia?
Well, historically, when we look at Central America specifically, in the first years of the program and soon thereafter, it was primarily all about washed coffees. And then, of course, you had, varieties coming into play like geisha pretty early on. Pacamara has done really well historically. But in the beginning, the idea of a country, let's say like El Salvador or Guatemala, putting in a natural was prohibited in some countries. It wasn't allowed. And eventually it became obvious that these naturals had a real market. And that market for us, at least in Cup of Excellence, is pretty predominantly coming from East Asia. Now, after years of kind of innovating through the Cup of Excellence and honey processed and now these other anaerobic coffees, there's not as much resistance. Like I think the countries we work with are more open because the industries, has opened itself to experimentation. Some experiments don't go so well, and some of the anaerobics don't make it through. Some of them do quite well and end up winning. And we've seen a proliferation over the last 4 years of anaerobics, either receiving higher scores or receiving in some cases, higher prices. It's gone a little bit both ways. So, yeah.
Darrin lo que nos cuenta es que eso básicamente es como la industria también se ha venido abriendo paso para poder atraer estos nuevos procesos que están haciendo, ya sean las experimentaciones con las fermentaciones anaeróbicas o los naturales, que quizás antes estaban en otros países, como por ejemplo en Burundi, en Etiopía, pero aquí, digamos en Guatemala y El Salvador, él hace mención de que estos procesos eran prohibidos. Sin embargo, la misma industria fue empujando a que se vinieran abriendo estos pasos para tener así mejores calidades y mejores precios que van siempre de la mano. Él hace mención también de que básicamente lo que estábamos hablando es que muchas variedades como por ejemplo el pacamara o el geisha fueron uno de los que despuntaron las mejores calidades, pero ahora quizás en la parte de proceso siempre son los que tienen o ya sea mejores notas o mejores puntuaciones y también son mejores pagados. Claro, no siempre va a salir bien, algunos procesos pasan, otros no, pero todo es parte de la dinámica que se ha venido viendo en nuestros países centroamericanos. ¿Cuál es Darrin, what's the most challenging thing about Cup of Excellence? ¿Cuál es el mayor reto de Taza de Excelencia?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think and especially with this year, it's so hard to, the hardest thing so far has just been getting through this pandemic to even just be able to do the Cup of Excellence. So as far as what's right in front of me right now, it's been being able to pivot and get through this year with a different composition of the jury. But in a non-COVID year, I think the hardest part has been getting, I think getting new producers to come into the program, and we've been, we've had really good results, but that's been something that I've really wanted to see more higher participation. And historically, that's been challenging, but not in this year. In this year, actually, we've seen a rise of new, especially in Nicaragua. Something like 76% this year were all new and first-time entrants. So we're seeing a lot of new interest, and that would have been very difficult and hard fought to end up seeing that much increase in new producers. But I think in some ways that's been the most challenging. It's a very rewarding challenge, though.
Ok, perfecto. Darrin nos cuenta de que, bueno, este año en particular, la pandemia, por supuesto, ha sido el reto más grande, cómo llevar el evento a la realidad y cómo ajustarse a las medidas, al protocolo de todo lo que está pasando en el COVID, pero en un año que no tenemos pandemia, lo que nos menciona que ha sido parte de los retos más grandes es traer a nuevos productores a que sean parte de la competencia, a nuevas personas que quieran integrarse en este evento, y hace mención sobre todo de Nicaragua, donde este año ve el cambio que han venido siendo nuevos productores los que se han apuntado para poder ser parte del certamen, más que todo como él hace mención que parte del 70% de los productores eran nuevos y era primera vez que participaban en el evento aquí en Nicaragua, y que eso es lo que busca Tasa de Excelencia, que entren nuevos participantes a ser parte de este evento, que es uno de los eventos más grandes para la industria del café. Hablando de Centroamérica, Darrin, talking about Central America, we've been hit not only by COVID-19 pandemic, but we'll be hit by 2 hurricanes right now, and during crop. So what do you think will be the in quality-wise, what will be the effects on the coffee that we're going to have for this new crop, and how this is going to affect Cup of Excellence o high-profile coffees? Hablando de Centroamérica, nosotros hemos sido no solamente golpeados por la pandemia del COVID, sino 2 huracanes. En cuestiones de calidad, ¿cómo vamos a vernos afectados para esta cosecha 2021 y cómo va a afectar el perfil en tasa de excelencia?
Yeah, we have been getting early reports from our field coordinator in Honduras, and there are a number of things that are in play that are going to present challenges for quality, and that's actually playing out in a few different ways, if you want to translate that.
Hemos estado recibiendo reportes de nuestro coordinador de campo de Honduras, donde nos está manteniendo al tanto de qué es lo que está pasando realmente en la finca y cómo va a ser afectada la calidad.
And what initial reports are from Honduras and some from Nicaragua are saying that due to these heavy rains, there's some early flowering, so coffees might be maturing earlier, and there's this sense of wanting to get coffees off the tree as quickly as possible. And if that means, like strip picking or other things like that, the overall quality of the harvest this year will be affected on a large scale. And it certainly will impact those that are even trying to put together micro lots, unless they decide to do something different with the smaller lots. And then on the larger, amounts of coffee that are being shipped out, they may end up, taking some, maybe picking before total ripeness. That could be a part. But also, it seems that the other issue is certain countries rely on other countries for employees and labor. And if those workers are not able to move around to follow harvest, then that's going to become a labor issue in terms of who will pick these coffees. So this is the other really large issue due to the tragedy of the hurricanes. So
Darrin nos cuenta de que los primeros reportes lo que mencionan es que hay debido a las intensas lluvias, lo que está pasando es que los cafés van a empezar a caerse de los árboles. Entonces, lo que esto va a presionar a los mismos productores a tomar decisiones de cómo hacer el corte, y en ciertos casos sería recoger antes de que el café se caiga al suelo. Entonces, esto va a ser uno de los problemas que va a afectar mucho la calidad, también a grande escala, porque van a tener que tomar la decisión cómo van a manejar la parte de los microlotes y cómo van a ser los lotes que van a entrar a tasa de excelencia. Otro de los grandes problemas que mira Darrin es que muchos de los países también hay escasez de mano de obra. Incluso un país a otro, la mano de obra se está pasando de un país a otro. Entonces, esto va a ser un gran problema, ya que no va a haber personas que puedan ser los que van a ir a las fincas a recoger el café. Entonces, se va a volver un gran problema. Yeah, totally agree. That's one of our main issues right now, labor-wise, and also pandemic and labor. Our farmers are like really in trouble, and they have to make decisions about how they're going to do the picking, because as you said, maybe for them it's it's time-wise, time's running, or how are we going to do it? Should we wait for it's fully mature, or should we just pick the coffee before it falls? So it's really, really tough for our producers right now. So this is how our producers in this time, and given that we are being hit by pandemic and also these quality things, how can they enhance or potentialize their quality in this situation? Hablando de las situaciones que tenemos ahorita y de las decisiones que tienen que tomar los productores, si ellos van a decidir cortar el café antes de que se caiga, ¿cómo pueden ellos potencializar la calidad o cómo pueden hacer ellos para mantener la calidad en las fincas?
Yeah, that is a really tough question. For those that have the ability to maybe segment part of a parcel of the farm or an area where people would be able to at least select a different type of process. But the issue I see is the risk. There's a lot of risk in hoping that you could set aside a little bit of a plot of land to do something unique with, not just for Cup of Excellence, but in general for the market beyond COE. And I think that is something that only a producer would know, or a cooperative association to give that type of advisement and maybe even training how to make the best of the situation and still produce some specialty grade coffees. Not that we know that the entire harvest is going to be subpar, but we just don't know what's going to be happening in 3 months from now or 2 months from now. And really January, things start to accelerate in terms of processing and everything. So there isn't a lot of time to sit back and wait. Those decisions need to be made very quickly. But I do think working as a community with other producers and other organizations and associations to get an idea of what other producers are doing, to rely on each other to understand what's the best outcome given the situation.
Entonces, relacionado con la pregunta de cómo pueden potencializar la calidad, lo que Darrin nos está sugiriendo es que confíen en un productor en el otro. Todo lo que son asociaciones, cooperativas, que puedan entre ellos trabajar como equipo y no solamente para los lotes que van a tasa de excelencia, sino para la calidad en general. Saber de que están conscientes de que la calidad va a ser un poco afectada esta cosecha, pero que puedan trabajar en equipo y saber de que para poder salvar la cosecha y poder entregar una buena calidad. Darrin, talking about how these producers want to, like you as a Cup of Excellence, want new producers to come in and become part of Cup of Excellence. But how can you invite producers and so they can lose all fears and be part of Cup of Excellence? Le pregunto a Darrin de que como tasa de excelencia, ¿cómo él invitaría a los productores a que se unan, a ser parte del evento y que pierdan el miedo y que participen?
Yeah, well, we were beginning to do these farmer outreach training. We've done them in the past, and we started doing them again a couple of years ago, and we would have been doing that. So it's more awareness building out in the regions and going out and doing presentations directly with producers. We've been doing quite a lot of those in Ethiopia for our first year with great success. And so we wanted to continue to do that. Obviously, this would have been done through our own staff, in partnership with the associations and organizations that we partner with. Now that we're not able to do that, I think we've been trying to use social media to get the word out as much as possible about what are the benefits, why should you be part of the program, what are the challenges within the program as a producer. For a first-year person, they may not understand some of the maybe the best possible outcomes maybe not the large, don't put in the largest lot of coffee, maybe put in a smaller size to get a, possibly a higher price by putting in a smaller lot. Those are the types of things that we would do with the farmer training and extension work. So, I would hope that we could be creative and do them in new ways where we can do it in a socially distanced and use live feeds just like this to be able to kind of communicate, what are the opportunities and to really reach out even more. So as we get, we're already starting to kind of move into 2021 in certain countries. And so I think that type of, awareness building will need to be pretty creative in this year since we can't do it in person. So.
Darrin nos está contando que parte de lo que hacen como Tasa de Excelencia es crear conciencia en los productores de cómo pueden ser parte del evento. Ellos hacen presentaciones y también hacen entrenamientos para poder presentar cuáles son los mayores retos o las reglas que tienen que seguir para ser parte de él. Y lo que él recomienda es que quizás no entrar con lotes grandes, quizás entrar con un lote pequeño que puedan saber de que van a venderlo a un precio, porque tiene mejor calidad, van a poderlo vender a un precio más alto. Y también en este año, sobre todo lo que están haciendo es apoyarse mucho en la parte de redes sociales. Para el 2021 ellos se están preparando porque saben de que vamos a seguir con los nuevos protocolos y también pues como para mantener el distanciamiento social, pues tratando de adaptarse y a las nuevas realidades, pero siempre invitando a todos los productores a que sean parte. Talking about the producers that are already part and that are been doing Cup of Excellence for the past 10 years, what will be your advice to them? Y hablando de los productores que ya han sido parte del evento, que ya tienen, digamos, una trayectoria en Tasa de Excelencia, ¿cuál sería la recomendación para ellos?
Well, obviously want to hope that they continue to be involved or possibly look at some of the trends and maybe do something new, try a different variety or process. That would be one thing, but also in the past, we've had producers that have done very, very well and have been very successful. And then they end up actually kind of training other producers on how they did it. And I think that train the trainer, that kind of responsibility to share your knowledge within your country. And in some cases, we've had a producer in Brazil that had created a school, and producers from other countries within Brazil and outside of Brazil were coming to learn how to do organic processing of coffee, and because that was something that was unique to Brazil in some ways, that there weren't many COE winners that were doing organic certified. So that's an example of, being able to encourage other people to be part of it by sharing their knowledge.
Wow, that's really, really nice. I'm really impressed about that because I didn't know that some producers share their knowledge. This is sometimes it's really competitive, and they don't want to spill the beans, So it's really cool for these people to be training other producers, and that's the spirit, like as a country, as a whole, to become better each crop. Darrin nos estaba comentando de que, una de las recomendaciones que él tiene para los productores es que sigan haciendo lo que están haciendo, que sigan siendo parte de Tasa de Excelencia. Quizás podrían innovar con nuevos procesos, con nuevas variedades, pero sobre todo lo que él está invitando es que también puedan difundir el conocimiento, ayudar a otros productores a tener mejores calidad. Nos contaba la historia de un productor en Brasil que incluso fundó una escuela y está enseñando a otros productores cómo hacer la certificación orgánica. Y para mí, pues, lo que le comentaba a Darrin es que es muy importante esto de compartir el conocimiento, porque es el punto como país, llegar a la calidad país y poder diversificarte y poder sobresalir con la calidad. Talking about the organic certification, do you have producers that not only have organic but another type of certification, and does that make an impact on the buyers? Hablando de las certificaciones, sabemos de que hay productores que tienen certificación orgánica, pero ¿tiene algún impacto en los compradores de que los productores tengan otro tipo de certificaciones?
Yeah, there are fair trade certified coffees that come through, and Rainforest Alliance as well. And there are definitely certain buyers that are looking for those certifications. It seems to me that organic, there's a certain group of buyers that really are committed to organic, and if they saw more organics in the competition, they would be buying those coffees. And whether they're fetching a higher price for that, I can't say exactly if that's correct. But if those buyers are all fighting over one or two lots that are the only certified coffees, then my gut feeling is that would create a competitive, competitive edge for those that have chosen to buy that coffee as certified. And then, we have had some coffees, Burundi, I remember, with IWCA, where they were members of IWCA, the women that were producing those lots that were very proud to say, I'm an IWCA member, and it's not necessarily a certification, but it's certainly kind of a way of giving that relationship, directly to the buyers that would want to support IWCA. We've had some that have been biodynamic certified. Brazil, I've seen some biodynamic certified, and that's something that I think has probably a strong market awareness in Europe, and maybe definitely North America, but probably more Europe. I'm not sure if biodynamic has that much in East Asia in terms of attraction, but I think that's an amazing thing to see that, since it's such a rigorous certification too. So.
Yeah, my question is because, you as the Cup of Excellence are focused on quality, but also what about the social impact that has Cup of Excellence, or what about the environmental impact that you want to portray to the producers, or how are we going to connect those producers with the buyers, de parte de mi pregunta, Darrin lo que nos contesta es que sí, que algunos de los productores tienen algunos de los certificados, y esto sin duda pues hace un gran impacto en los compradores, más que todo para los compradores de Europa, un poco para los compradores de Estados Unidos, y él recuerda a uno de los lotes que salieron ganadores en Burundi, que si bien es cierto que son parte de las mujeres productoras de la Alianza Internacional de Mujeres en Café, que no es una certificación, pero que sí le da mayor realce al café de ser parte de este tipo de grupos. Entonces mi pregunta va dirigida a la parte social también y la parte ambiental, que pueda tener tasa de excelencia, porque estamos 100% de acuerdo que tasa de excelencia es básicamente calidad. Entonces, yeah, Darrin, that's why I was translating everything.
No problem. Yeah, I think I saw on the chat there was a question there, so sorry, I was just reading the question on the sidebar. But I think what happens with us is that we're very transparent in telling the farmer's story and how the producer made the coffee, and the technical aspects, maybe some information about their farm, the land size, maybe programs, social programs that they may be in. And at that point, when a bidder has won a lot of coffee and starts to directly connect to that producer, that begins a whole series of conversations about, well, how do you farm and who do you employ, and it starts the relationship. So I think we kind of bring people into that relationship, and then various buyers are going to have, maybe some requirements, maybe some social kind of responsibilities that they would like to see in the producers that they work with. And if they don't see that, then that conversation starts. If they do see that, then they celebrate the fact that there are other, environmental, goals and social goals. Because I think many buyers are looking for that kind of, that kind of granular understanding of where they're putting their dollars and who they're supporting and how they're supporting. So, it begins a conversation, and I think that we haven't ever been in we haven't had the program specifically only reward sustainability projects or environmental projects. I mean, to us, price is part of sustainability. So we provide sustainability in the pricing, but it needs to go further than that. Obviously, it's not just economic; it's social, and I think that the level of exposure that farmers get in this program also makes them think for themselves about, well, how can I have bigger impact? And if I'm financially stronger, what am I putting back into my farm, and what am I putting back into my community? And I think all those things start to kind of surface with the visibility of the program. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, part of the sustainability is also the price, and we know that not all the coffee produced in one farm is going to be Cup of Excellence a lot. So that's what I was looking for in your answer. Darrin nos está contando de que, claro, ellos son bastante transparentes al momento de pasar toda la información de los lotes que son seleccionados para poder ellos conectarlos con los compradores. Entonces ellos dan la información de la finca, qué programas sociales se están llevando a cabo, cómo son las medidas que se están tomando en la parte ambiental, y también él menciona de que parte de la sostenibilidad pues también es tener mejores precios. Entonces, cuando estás pagando precios altos, el productor puede venir a involucrarse más en los temas de sostenibilidad y poder así mantenerse siempre con el tema de calidad, pero a la vez sostenibilidad. Darrin, I totally agree with you about the sustainability, but how do you see Cup of Excellence in a couple of years due to climate change? What are going to be the impact with climate change? ¿Cómo mira Darrin a Tasa de Excelencia en unos años con todo el impacto de cambio climático, y cómo se ve el pronóstico para Tasa de Excelencia?
Well, I feel like we've been challenged with climate for, directly challenged over the last decade at least. It's already been affecting farmers for, nearly as long as I've been traveling to Origin and listening to producers struggling with changes in the harvest cycle, rain at the wrong time. Just like all of the issues have been just getting worse and more severe, obviously, with these recent storms and how devastating they've been, will impact all of us, including Cup of Excellence. And I think that it's something that is such a global challenge that producers are going to be making some really tough decisions. And it might mean I just don't have the ability to enter COE. I'm just trying to do whatever I can do to salvage my situation, given where each individual groups are at, co-ops, farms, all of that. Everybody has to make these decisions. So, it's a little bit unknown as to how our program, as well as other programs that are out there that are trying to reward excellence, whether it's the private sector or not, we're all being faced with the same kind of difficult news. In learning how to adjust. And, I think the only thing that I've seen is, some climatology studies have shown that there may be different areas within a country where normally you may have not been growing coffee, where maybe you would start growing coffee. That's a dramatic shift. And generally it means moving up in altitude, and not everyone has the opportunity to do that. So it's a very difficult question to answer, but I think that we're already seeing the impacts across the sector.
Sí, nosotros hemos estado viendo a través de los años cómo el impacto del cambio climático ha estado afectando todas las regiones, a todos los productores. Y es una cosa muy difícil porque se han tenido que venir adaptando a las nuevas realidades y cómo poder sobresalir en la calidad. Entonces es una labor que van a tener los productores, tomar decisiones, no solamente los productores, sino también las asociaciones, las cooperativas, de cómo pueden ellos ser parte de Tasa de Excelencia, y son decisiones que se van a ir viendo. Ha visto cómo va a ser la reducción de las áreas de productividad. Algunos de los productores solo van a tener acceso a crecer, a producir café en las partes altas. Entonces esto va a limitar un poco los recursos, y la verdad es un tema que va a ser es incierto. Yeah, I've seen figures, and I've seen how some, well, mainly in Central America, how the areas where you can produce coffee are going to be reduced, and some of them are going to disappear. So it's really tough, so that's why we need to be we need to adapt new varieties that are climate change, that we can face climate change. But these varieties are seen as not high quality. So that's my next question. How can we adapt varieties that are high quality, or do you work with the World Coffee Research for this specific topic? Entonces, hablando de cambio climático, necesitamos darles a los productores variedades que se puedan adaptar a cambio climático. Sin embargo, estas variedades que se están produciendo son algunas veces satanizadas, que no son de buena calidad. Entonces, Tasa de Excelencia tiene algún convenio con el World Coffee Research, que es el instituto de investigación de café, que ellos son los que están desarrollando estas nuevas variedades, y cómo hacer para que estas variedades tengan mejores calidades.
Unmuted there. Sorry. Yeah, and we have we certainly love what WCR is doing, and I think that they've proven with the new varieties that they've been putting out, like the Centro Americano and the other varieties, that not only are they more resistant to drought or other climatic issues, they've actually been winning in the Cup of Excellence competitions in Honduras and Nicaragua. We've seen some of the finalists are using the Centro Americano and scoring high. So I think the idea that all you have left is Catamor or other varieties that are perceived to be, Castillo was the conversation in Colombia. Castillo has come on to win in Colombia's COE auction. So I think there are more options in terms of breeding programs around the world, and I think WCR and other scientific organizations and academic institutions are working very quickly as they can, to continue to look at that quality to climate resistant varieties as fast as possible. So I think there are more options, and I do know that the number 2 winner in 2017 and in 2018 was working directly with the breeding project in Nicaragua. And those coffees did really well. And so I think that's an encouraging development, is that, variety might be the one thing that we can change in our lifetime, and in a pretty dramatic way towards quality and towards, proliferation of the market not being too impacted by relying only on Bourbon or Típica or kind of the institutional varieties that everyone knows has high quality. So I think it's changing very rapidly, and I do know that WCR is working on new projects to continue to look at that quality performance target. So.
Sí, Darrin nos cuenta de que sí, muchas veces lo que está pasando es que estos institutos que se dedican a la proliferación de las variedades, a la distribución de las nuevas variedades, están trabajando muy rápido también para ellos poder integrar la calidad en estas nuevas variedades. Incluso aquí en Nicaragua él hace mención de que en el 2017, 2018 han quedado estas variedades híbridas ganadoras de lugares en tasa de excelencia y que están trabajando de la mano con las instituciones para poder hacer el tema de la calidad. En el Castillo, la variedad Castillo también fue un gran tema en Colombia, y lo que Darrin nos cuenta es que, bueno, estas variedades hay que hacer mayor mención en toda la industria, ya que lo que debemos de hacer es ir abriendo camino para poder quitar esa idea de que solo los Bourbon son los que dan buena tasa y poder abrirle paso a estas nuevas variedades. Yeah, totally agree, Darrin. I remember it was in 2017 when Hybrid H3 was the number 2, the second winner, I think. I remember that. So thank you so much, Darrin. I'm going to read the questions that we have from Facebook, and so you can answer. Okay, let me check this. Why Nicaragua doesn't get as good prices as neighboring countries in Cup of Excellence? Is it the country reputation or the quality itself? What drives the price? Claudio Pérez Cruz. Claudio nos está preguntando por qué Nicaragua no obtiene buenos precios como nuestros países vecinos en tasa de excelencia. ¿Hay alguna cosa en la reputación del país o en la calidad misma? ¿Qué es lo que está motivando el precio? You're in trouble.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I think it's a culmination of things. I don't think it's the reputation of the country at all. I think it has more to do with, imagine the ability of a country like Brazil to promote its brand, right? So every country has its brand as it's exporting coffees and promoting their visibility around the world. I think it's very difficult to match a country that has as much, kind of taxable income that comes out of the industry and then goes out and goes directly to those markets around the world to promote. So I think that is something that obviously has been done in the past with organizations like ASEAN and certainly, Conochdec and other organizations that are out there trying to give more light on Nicaraguan coffees. But I think other countries have spent a lot of time, like Costa Rica and Guatemala, doing so much like brand effort that I think Nicaragua as a country needs to do more on that. That's kind of our job too, is to promote these countries. So, we feel that we can only do so much in partnership with the countries that are out there promoting their coffees. And there is, kind of not speaking as the executive director of ACE, but speaking as someone that has been a former coffee buyer that bought a lot of coffee in Nicaragua, a lot of coffee over the years from Selva Negra and many cooperative groups, Sopexca and we were buying coffees there specifically because it had an advantage with certification, especially fair trade organics were very important for us, and so we went to Nicaragua with that message. And I think that is something that has been very important for Nicaragua's industry. And organizations like Proto Co-op and the co-ops that have been really trying to push the envelope and get higher quality coffees to match the interest in organics and certified coffees. That culmination and that work together will elevate Nicaragua in a way that like we see with Peru and other countries that have that. And also, I think one of the issues that doesn't get talked about a lot is some of the altitude. There are different altitudes that produce quality, and Nicaragua is growing in a lot of maybe the 1100s to 900 to 1100 in altitude. And as a buyer, I think that some buyers look at that and say, well, I'm looking for 2000 meter coffee, which obviously means specific countries that have that type of altitude. But I hope that answers that question. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darrin. Para responder la pregunta, lo que Darrin nos dice es que muchos países han hecho mucho esfuerzo en la parte de la marca personal. Pues, países como Costa Rica, como Guatemala, que están trabajando en la promoción de su marca de país como tal, y eso es lo que le hace falta a Nicaragua, crear una marca país que pueda desarrollarse y pueda venderse mejor a los compradores que están buscando ciertas especificaciones. Y no solamente eso, sino que también las asociaciones de productores, y él lo dice como comprador de café verde, que ha tenido relaciones con las cooperativas como Sopexca, él la menciona, que sí hacen tienen una muy buena calidad y que también son ellos mismos los que están haciendo esta promoción para empujar al país a que sea visualizado como de alta calidad. Y también nos menciona de que hay ciertos compradores que también vienen con algunas especificaciones que ellos quieren altura, café de altura. Entonces nosotros como nicaragüenses estamos limitados a tener, porque los compradores quieren café de 2000 metros hacia arriba y nosotros pues como estamos produciendo café de los 900 a los 1800, 1900 metros. Pues es una cuestión de topografía, de geografía del país. So I'm going to keep reading the other question. This Luis Toruño says, cup of excellence, at least on Nicaragua, is only for a small group of elite farmers. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't entirely agree, especially this past year when we've seen, as I said, over 2/3 of the producers were new. And also, many of them were coming from a lot of the cooperative works. Now, some of them didn't qualify, but the amount of people that entered coming from a pretty diverse background is not just an elite group of farmers. I do think that historically, I understand the comment, but realize that it's never been closed as a competition. It's those that don't get eliminated that might be perceived to be an elite group of farmers. Just because you've qualified, there's not much I can do as our organization can't necessarily, we're not trying to exclude anybody, but we're focusing on quality. And when we do that, this is what tends to happen, that some of the producers that maybe have more infrastructure and financial ability are the ones that are able to produce these lots. But it isn't just the financial ability, it's other infrastructure to be able to make these lots and make them so that they go all the way through to the final phase. But I understand where the comment's coming from, though. I do appreciate the comment.
Él entiende el comentario que dice de que tasa de excelencia, pues al menos aquí en Nicaragua es solamente para un grupo pequeño de productores, sin embargo no está de acuerdo, y precisamente en este año donde se hace mención de que nuevos productores que son del sector de las cooperativas fueron parte del evento de tasa de excelencia. Lo que pasa es que ellos están, como organización, como tasa de excelencia, están enfocados en la calidad y para esto se requiere recursos que son mejores infraestructuras, pues productores que han venido haciendo las cosas de cierta manera que es lo que les ha dado la calidad. Entonces él entiende muy bien de dónde viene el comentario, sin embargo pues sabemos de que al enfocarnos en la calidad pues requiere mucho esfuerzo. Claudio Pérez says, I've cut Paranema 88, suppose a low quality variety, the harvest and post-harvest practices is the key. Luis Toruño says, there are good hybrids, but they are not accessible to many producers because of the price of the plant. And also, they are really demanding in fertilizers. Totally agree. Producers need seeds to plants, and most of these varieties are only through clones. But it's good that technology is more used in coffee. So those are our comments, Darrin, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time. We had a really nice conversation, and hopefully we can be doing more of this interviews or spaces where we can talk about quality, our countries, and I'm really grateful for your time, for this interview, and I hope Cup of Excellence keep looking at our countries as a high quality and keep promoting our country, because we really need that country branding, and thank you so much for that. For me, it's been a great pleasure, and I leave you here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate the questions, and I wonder if perhaps there may be a way for us to do some of the farmer training through your platform with our team, as we were talking about doing this, and Gary, who's based in Honduras, is the one that's been leading programs, and obviously these would be conducted in Spanish. Maybe you and I can talk at another time about that. But I just thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. And anything that we can do for you here in Nicaragua, you're really welcome. And thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias a todos los que nos estuvieron acompañando a esta entrevista con Darrin acerca de la calidad. Ha sido una entrevista enriquecedora. Esperamos también de que estos certámenes como Tasa de Excelencia sigan promoviendo nuestra marca país y enfocándonos en la calidad, que mucho nos hace falta. En cuestiones de cómo Tasa de Excelencia puede venir a ayudar a los productores, pues tienen un programa donde se puede estar enseñando a los productores acerca de cómo pueden adaptarse para ser parte de este evento. Entonces, sí, necesitamos estos certámenes para que nuestros productores entren a este tipo de programas y podamos enfocarnos más en calidad. Muchísimas gracias a todos los que estuvieron con nosotros, a los que nos mandaron sus preguntas, a los que estuvieron aquí presentes. Yo soy Mirtila Rodriguez y ha sido un placer estar con ustedes. Vamos a vernos a las 3 de la tarde, donde vamos a tener un panel de la adaptación en finca. Vamos a estar compartiendo también por las redes de Raíces Colectivos para que se queden con nosotros y nos podamos ver a las 3 de la tarde. Muchísimas gracias a todos y nos vemos. Darrin, thank you so much. Please share the knowledge. Please keep it up with the producers in all the countries. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.